Prime Minister wants to talk about politicians who have led Canadians in error. This Prime Minister said when the allegations were first printed in the Globe and Mail that they were completely false. We now know that that is not true. Is the Prime Minister aware that if he says something that he knows not to be true in a court proceeding, that he will be guilty of perjury?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
We've seen the Conservatives time and time again mislead Canadians, and they are smarting that we actually called them out on it. We put them on notice because, indeed, they continue, particularly in this election year, to spread falsehoods to Canadians. Just recently, they actually sent a householder to Canadians that was not telling them about our climate action incentive, which returns hundreds of dollars to Canadians that they have to claim through their taxes. They have no plan on the environment. All they do is mislead Canadians. All they do is mislead Canadians about our plan to
Order. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, the Prime Minister now wants to talk about falsehoods. The Prime Minister said in response to the Globe and Mail story breaking the SNC-Lavalin corruption scandal that no one, neither himself nor anyone in his office, put pressure on the former Attorney General to interfere in this case. We now know that that is completely false. So once again, is the Prime Minister aware that if he says something that he knows not to be true in a court case, that he will be guilty of perjury?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Canadians are remarking upon is the fact that the Conservatives actually don't want to talk about anything that actually matters to Canadians in their day-to-day lives. Canadians are worried about the threat of climate change and the impact on their kids. The Conservatives have no plan, are misleading people about our plan, and don't want to talk about it, and they try to change the subject. What's worse, they have no plan for the economy. They continue to want to raise lower taxes on the wealthiest Canadians, when what we know is to invest in the middle class is to grow the economy. No plan on the economy, no plan on the environment.
Order. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Order.
Speaker, I would just remind the Prime Minister that it was his idea to bring these allegations to court. I'm just waiting for him to tell me on what day I should show up, because I'll be there. Now, he wants to talk about falsehoods. He told Canadians and looked them in the eye, and he said that the former Attorney General or anyone else never came to him to raise concerns about being pressured to interfere in this case. We now know that that is false. Is the Prime Minister aware that if he said that in a court case at this point, that he would be guilty of perjury?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, once again, the opposition leader is doubling down on his false and misleading statements. We put him on notice because he has a history, and his party has a history of misleading Canadians. That's exactly what they did when he had to withdraw and retract misleading statements he'd made about the Minister of Innovation just a few months ago. We know, Mr. Speaker, that their way is to try and mislead Canadians as much as they possibly can. We need to call them out on that because falsehoods have no place in an election campaign.
The Honourable Order, please. Order. Order. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister says that he's put me on notice, hoping that I'll withdraw my statements. I'm not. I repeated them again outside. So I'm putting him on notice that I'm looking forward to the day that he sets for this court case to proceed. But when it comes to falsehoods, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister stated that his excuse for interfering in this court case was because of jobs. We now know that that isn't true either. So once again, is the Prime Minister aware of the criminal penalties for committing perjury in a court case?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, I can understand the member opposite's frustration. His economic plan is in shambles after 10 years of the lowest growth rate since the Great Depression under Stephen Harper. We turned that around with an approach that invests in Canadians, and therefore Canadians Canadians created over 900,000 new jobs over the past 3 years. We've seen the lowest unemployment in 40 years. Our plan is working, and yes, Mr. Speaker, we will always fight for jobs, and we will never apologize for fighting for jobs.
Order. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister wants to talk about false statements. The Prime Minister said that his motivation for interfering in this criminal court case was because he was afraid that SNC-Lavalin would move their headquarters out of the country. The head of SNC-Lavalin has said that that is completely false.
Wow,
so once again, is the Prime Minister aware of the criminal penalties that he would face if he said that falsehood under oath in a court of law?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Again, Mr. Speaker, we are unequivocal about standing up for jobs, and indeed, shortly after the head of SNC-Lavalin made those comments, the company came out and corrected the comments he had made. We have been consistent in standing up for jobs. We will continue to defend workers right across the country, whether it's our steel and aluminum workers, whether it's our forestry workers, whether it's in manufacturing. We know that investing in Canadians, investing in their communities is way better than the cuts and austerity proposed by the Conservatives.
That's it.
Order. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The Prime Minister just said another false statement, Mr. Speaker. A spokesperson for SNC-Lavalin said as late as last week that there is no intention on moving the headquarters from Canada.
That's fine.
But I guess the Prime Minister is worried about actually taking this to court, because everything that he has said outside this House in front of Canadians, if he were to say them again in a court of law, he would be guilty of perjury. I guess his famous "just watch me" has turned into a "just watch me run away." Will he have the backbone to stand by his threats and show up in court to fight this case?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
What we have here is a Conservative Party flailing and floundering, trying to change the subject away from what matters to Canadians. They have no plan to fight climate change, no plan on the economy, and quite frankly have continued to demonstrate, despite the rejection they got from Canadians in 2015, they still don't understand that the economy and the environment need to go together. And to build a stronger economy, you have to take action on fighting climate change. They fail to understand that, and therefore they're looking for anything else to talk about.
Order.